There's nothing like making a beautiful handmade pasta dough with all fresh, intact egg yolks.
Sorry, but the egg yolks will break anyway. Once you mix them, they don't have to be beautiful. They don't have to be beautiful. Once you mix them, the egg, you don't, anyway.
Today we're going to be reviewing Nick DiGiovanni making some pasta, and we're going to be doing it with Vincenzo.
Hi guys, hi James. I love doing reactions with you. Make sure you guys go and watch the reactions we did together. They are so much fun and informative.
Aye, they are. And today, hopefully, we'll learn a few more things because Vincenzo, this is right up your alley, Italian cuisine. So, before we get going today, guys, be sure to, if you do like this video, give it a like and a share. Don't forget to head over to Vincenzo's channel after seeing this one and see our reaction on his channel after seeing this video. Now, let's get started.
Today we have an 80-pound wheel of Parmesan cheese straight from Italy. Now there's something really cool about a Parmesan wheel like this. The first thing that we see all around the side is Parmigiano Reggiano, but there are more specifics that we can get into, which are quite cool. This large stamp right here is just a quality stamp, where the number right above it tells us the farm that it came from in Italy. I love that you can trace it right down to that very spot. Over here is a seal from the producer itself that we can actually just wedge out with one of our little Parmesan knives. Now if I spin the wheel, there's a little something right here you'll see that says DOP. This stands for Denominazione di Origine Protetta, which means protected designation of origin.
Now, did he pronounce that right, Vincenzo?
Yeah, he did actually very well. And the Parmigiano has to be made in a specific region of Emilia-Romagna. There is a process of making the cheese, a process of storing it. Every single wheel, basically, it's protected. And as you can see, it's got a stamp. And there's a lot of work behind that wheel.
Oh no, I mean, just looking at the whole cheese process, it's a very long time to go from the cow to a finished product.
The last thing you can see as I spin it around is February 19th. Just like fine wine, the longer Parmesan is aged, the nicer it typically is. This wheel right here is 24-month aged, and you can actually sell Parmesan before it's been aged at least 12 months. So this is a pretty good wheel of Parmesan cheese right here. Let me put it this way. I don't have anything left in my piggy bank after this one.
So like Nick just said, it cost him a pretty penny to buy this thing.
It's not cheap, yeah. Look, well, I got the Grana Padano here in Italy, and I think that was about 500 euro for a big wheel of 40 kilos Grana Padano. And I did a video as well and show you how to open it. A good Grana Padano, you know, good, nice aged. But in Australia, it would have been over $1,000 Australian dollars.
All right, so here's how it's gonna go down. We're making pasta inside this wheel, but first we have to cut it in half. So we're gonna cut it like this. I wanna show you these two knives, because this will be the first knife that I use. And I just thought I'd show this in comparison to this, the knife I typically use in videos. We actually don't need my regular chef's knife, so I can toss this aside. Now to start, we're gonna take this cute little knife right here and score around the entire wheel of Parmesan. What's actually really cool is that they pretty much give us a line right down the middle to perfectly do this scoring.
So right now, is Nick doing good?
He's doing good because he's creating the line to cut it, so you can follow the line to cut the Parmigiano in half. Yes, the wheel in half. So the knife he's using at the moment, it's okay, but you can't keep using that to...
No. He's just using, I think, the knife to score, to make the mark, and then he's gonna use wedges to go in.
For right now, I'm just trying to get that initial line. I'm gonna come back around it again to get a deeper line, but for now, this is all I need. Once I've gotten this nice line around the cheese, I'm actually gonna take the back corner of the knife instead of the top, which will allow me to dig in a little bit here and slowly go back to further solidify that line. Now I'm basically starting to dig into the actual cheese itself to get into that rind.
You don't need to do the extra work. I appreciate what he's doing, but you definitely don't need to do that. First, look at all that cheese that is crumbling, but you don't need to do that. You just need to do the line just for you, so that you know how to cut it in half.
Because this is such a beautiful piece of cheese, I'm really trying to do it justice here with nice, clean cuts. Now we've got another knife that we're gonna use here. If you can see up close, it's a very weird shape, very specific to a cheese like this. And it has this extremely sharp knife tip here. I'm basically gonna punch that into my cheese and then pull really hard to start cutting that rind. This thing goes through like a breeze.
And that knife, no, you don't need to do this. You basically need to use a pointy knife. It's like round, and then it goes pointy.
See, it's the cheese knife that looks more like a spade.
Yes, so, because if you do this, you're gonna get so tired in no time.
And you can see that when I leverage it like this, the rind comes right out just a bit. Now we have these tools, which are basically wedges that go into the side of the cheese to leverage it open.
These are the knives.
That's what you have to use.
This to me is the part I'm most looking forward to. I think it's gonna be satisfying to finally have that cheese pop. We're gonna pick an area right on the side of the cheese and wedge this all the way in. And as we go, we'll go back and forth a bit to start to break the cheese apart. Once that's in, I'll wedge it just a little bit back, turn my wheel of cheese, and go to a space just a little bit over. Same thing here, I wedge it all the way in there, moving that around to break apart that cheese, and then bring it back again.
Now, he only has 3 knives. I would use a few more if you have them.
Oh my God, if you have it, yeah. Normally used to do it with 2 knives.
2? Oof.
Sometimes even 1. That was challenging. But 2 knives is the most I used, yeah. And I did a few. And 2 knives were like the most. And
Oh,
if
boy.
you are in a restaurant and you do this all the time, like your restaurants where you worked,
Yeah.
you want to invest in at least 6 knives. That would be a lot quicker.
Now, I'll spin my cheese around to the other side and wedge another one in, shifting back and forth to break that cheese open. Then, I'll remove that first wedge, spin our wheel again, and go in on the opposite end. This right here is an arm workout that I could have never imagined.
He is making this look easy. So he's making this video pleasant to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go home and do the same. You can. It's not easy.
And I'll repeat this process until the wheel starts to feel a little bit looser, at which point it's basically just gonna crack. I'm not kidding when I say that this is actually a legitimately really good arm workout. And I used to go to the gym quite a lot, but I pretty much haven't been since COVID started. Now to try to finish things up here and open this wheel up, I'm gonna wedge all those levers somewhat close to each other and start kind of lifting and pushing up to see if it's gonna give. The fact that it's still not willing to go tells me that there's probably a few spots that still haven't been touched over here. So I'm gonna put in just a little bit more work with some of these wedges over on the edges. Now I've gone around the entire wheel with these wedges and I think we're ready to pop.
Ooh.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful.
Whoa!
Very nice. He did a good job. He was careful with
Very
it.
good.
When it cracks open like that, you get these beautiful flakes of cheese. This gorgeous, almost crystal-like hunk that you've gotten here, you simply can't get that any other way. Opening a Parmesan wheel by hand is truly something special. I know I've already taken a few bites, but I have to try this cheese while it's so fresh like this, because I don't know how many times in my life I'm gonna get cheese this fresh. That cheese has more Parmesan flavor than I even knew Parmesan could have. There's almost these tiny little crunchy crystal flakes when you bite into it. And it's so smooth, cheesy, and creamy.
I like when he said it's creamy, because it is creamy. Even though it's a hard cheese, it's got that creamy texture in your mouth.
To start our pasta dough, this one is special. So I wanna make a 12 yolk pasta dough. Yolks only. In my bowl where I'm gonna put the yolks, I'm gonna add in a little bit of olive oil, because I don't want those yolks sticking to the bowl.
Aspetta. Okay. Guys, you need to understand this, please. I like Nick. Nick is a great guy. He's very good and everything. But honestly, guys, when you make pasta, I don't understand where the oil comes from, the salt, and the egg yolk. What are you guys doing? To make pasta, you always use the entire egg and flour. There's no salt, there is no oil, there's nothing. Pasta is made with eggs, entire eggs, and flour, or semolina. What is this business with the egg yolk? We're not making carbonara. I don't understand.
Well, let's see what he does.
I want them all staying nice and whole. In this bowl here, I'll crack my eggs, then gently drop the whites in with the shells, which I can save for later. Those will make a nice tasty omelet. As for these gorgeous little yolks, I'll gently place them all into the bowl with the olive oil. I'll repeat this process very carefully with all 12 of my egg yolks, trying to keep them all whole and intact. There's nothing like making a beautiful handmade pasta dough with all fresh, intact egg yolks.
Sorry, but the egg yolks will break anyway. Once you mix them, they don't have to be beautiful. Once you mix them, the egg, anyway.
All of you who subscribe to our channel probably remember the time that we made cured egg yolks and only had 12 yolks left, but broke one of them, leaving us with 11. This time around, I'm gonna try to make sure every single egg yolk stays fresh and unbroken. Now on our cutting board, we'll put down a little over 2 cups of all-purpose flour.
So you're telling me you used 12 egg yolks, extra virgin olive oil, and using 400 grams of flour?
Say about 450 grams.
What a weird recipe, man. Let's see.
Into the middle of the flour, we'll make a nice little well, and then into that well will go our 12 beautiful egg yolks. If we want, we can add just a little bit of olive oil here, and then we break those egg yolks. Such a satisfying thing to do. Slowly bring in that flour from the outside to incorporate that into your yolks, gently and gradually mixing until everything is nice and well combined. At this point in the process, I usually like to bring in my bench scraper, which lets me easily bring everything all together. Now we work through our dough. And after some pretty solid elbow grease, but nothing quite as bad as
No. Show me how you do that. How did you turn that flour and egg into that? Show me. Don't skip it.
we have a beautiful disc of pasta dough. At this point in time, I'll take my ridiculously oversized plastic wrap and rest this in the fridge for half an hour. First, we're gonna carve out that Parmesan wheel because we wanna make sure that we have a nice bowl. I may actually be able to use some of these wedges, which will allow me to get some nice hunks of Parmesan cheese out of here. I absolutely love these rustic looking hunks that are coming out of the cheese. Just look at how gorgeous these are. I feel like I'm handling gold.
Oh yeah, with the price that you paid for it, it is kind of like gold.
Once I've wedged out lots of this cheese, I think I'm actually ready to start digging it into a bowl shape. I'll start by scooping out the remaining bits that are here, and then gradually starting to carve the shape with my spoon. If I can get this in a perfect bowl shape, it'll look absolutely gorgeous. Because of how compact this cheese is, you don't realize how much will actually come out of such a small portion of your entire wheel. I guess that you can get hundreds and hundreds of portions of cheese out of this entire wheel. And when I say portion, I mean those massive hunks. Could be in the 1,000 range with how big this thing is.
Well, the thing is though, he's trying to get a very nicely shaped like hole in the cheese to be able to cook with it. And I hope he didn't throw out all the rest of that Parmigiano, because I'll tell you, it can go bad quickly if you don't cover it properly.
And once we've created a nice bowl, we can set our wheel aside. Now that our dough's been resting in the fridge for a while, I first want to show you how bright and yellow this thing is. That's what you get when you use all egg yolks. Now first, we're gonna hit this dough with some nice flour,
we don't need
really
that.
making sure that that's not gonna stick to a bunch of stuff.
He wanted the color.
I don't want the color. No, I want the pasta to be done right.
Then we'll take that same bench scraper we used earlier and cut this in half. Press out your dough until it's nice and thin, flouring a little bit as you go and optionally using a rolling pin to push it out even further. Once you're ready to go, push it through your pasta maker. We should get a gorgeous, beautiful, and smooth yellow dough. And as I think I've discussed before, I always like to fold it together and put it through a second time to get out any air bubbles.
You know, my grandmother, my nonna always says the first time you pass it through the machine has to be the widest setting. And you want to fold them, pass it through again for many, many times. At least 5 to 10 times. She does it a lot, many times, because you get all the air out, you relax the dough that way. It's like massaging someone. Like when you start a massage, you first make your muscles relax, and then you go for it.
It takes time to work with it, and if you make it right, it's perfect, it's delicious.
Once your dough's rolled out the first time, turn up the dial and start to roll it through on a thinner setting until you're ready to make your fettuccine.
You should do settings a little bit at a time. Gradually, you go into small settings. We normally say, when you put the pasta sheets on your fingers, you can see your fingers through, that's when you can start stopping. Some people like the pasta to be very thick. I know, for example, the American audience, they would like it thinner. They don't like when it's too thick. But again, it's personal. But when you can see through, you see your fingers, that's when you know that the pasta is ready to be cut.
Now we roll out the fettuccine, creating these beautiful strands of pasta. Now we're gonna make a really fast garlic cream sauce, and then we're just about ready to fill that Parmesan cheese, so don't go anywhere. Chop off each of the heads of the garlic. For our garlic cream sauce, I'll add about a stick of butter and let that melt down.
God.
Once that butter is melted, I'm gonna take a few cloves of my fresh garlic.
That's a heart attack sauce. That's a lot of butter. What is he doing?
He's adding more butter in this than most people put in butter chicken.
Take a few cloves of my fresh garlic and press this right in here. Oh!
Yeah, wow.
I prefer a garlic press to mincing garlic any day, because it really just saves you from all those nasty smelling cutting boards and dishes.
So amazing. I agree with that, James. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to smash it on the cutting board. You can take the microplane and then, grate it.
I just love the garlic crusher.
Now into this butter, I'm going to slowly sprinkle in a few tablespoons of flour while still whisking. And this will make us a nice garlic roux.
How common is it to actually make a roux in Italian cuisine?
Okay, so the bechamel, what we call it bechamel, in Italy, it's more popular in Italy now than in France. Like, in fact, we believe bechamella became Italian because we use it in many, many recipes, not just lasagna, but you can make pasta with it. You can make, my mom makes these beautiful crepes filled with sauteed zucchini, garlic, and bechamel. And there is so many ways to use bechamel in these days. And because we use it so much, I think the French stopped using them.
Those clumps that you see in there aren't the flour. It's actually just that minced garlic. Once we've stirred this around a short bit and let it thicken, I'll add in about 2 cups of heavy cream. And then once I've let this start to heat up, I'll start grating in some of the Parmesan right out of my wheel. Can you imagine if I had the nerve to use pre-grated Parmesan right now from the store?
No. The cream was sad. The cream was very, very sad. The cream was sad. But the Parmigiano going inside a boiling pot is more sad.
Think about it this way. You can buy fresh Parmesan that's at least somewhat recently been taken out of a full Parmesan wheel like I've shown you, or you can buy pre-grated Parmesan, which has probably been sitting on the shelf a few years, but not exactly aging in the good way. Just think about that next time you make that choice. It's gonna be on your conscience, not mine. Once this thickens up into a really beautiful buttery cream sauce, we can set this whole thing aside, and we're ready to cook our pasta.
No, it's completely wrong as well, because what you mean sit aside? You want to have the sauce and the pasta cook at the same time in this case, so the sauce stays nice and hot, doesn't become dry, and then the pasta should go in straight away.
If this was for service in a restaurant, you would pre-cook the pasta off first, so it's par-cooked. So that way you just have to drop it in some hot water for a little bit of time, less than 30 seconds, and then you have the sauce in the pan, which is already hot. You add the two together, you serve it, and it's finished. So you can make a pot of pasta in less than a minute.
Once our water's boiling, we'll salt our water like the ocean, because we really want that salty flavor in our pasta.
No. 1 tablespoon, the ocean. You need 1 tablespoon of sea salt or rock salt. You don't want to use table salt, otherwise you need lots.
You don't need to make it super salty because the sauce is going to be salty with the Parmesan wheel.
And once the salt has had a minute to settle and dissolve into the water, we'll toss in our pasta. Now before we put in that pasta, we'll pour in a bit of white wine and light it on fire.
That's good.
You might not be
That's
able
right.
to see the flame right now, but you can probably hear it. And there's tons of heat coming off this wheel of Parmesan right now.
This is very important what he's doing. See the flame? That should actually help the cheese to melt on the sides. But because it's so deep at the moment, it's so deep, and he's struggling to move the wine on the sides and melt it.
You can probably start to see some of these flames of the fire, which is kind of faint, but still definitely there. What it's allowing me to do is sort of make a cheese sauce out of this, before we even add any of the pasta to that. And because it's so hot in there, the cheese is starting to melt in the base of my wheel.
Put the pasta in. Go now. Pasta, go in with the pasta, go. This is the moment you have to put the pasta in, go.
This would be the moment that instead of making this other sauce that he made for the pasta, have the pasta ready, drop it in now, mixy, and you're done. That's it. Maybe add some chives or some cebollino to the top to give it a little color, and you're finished.
Well, I'm not sure about chives, but yes, I guess in the Western world, yes.
We have this really warm cheese paste at the base that we can now use to make the rest of our pasta. We'll pour in that pasta, which
Great.
of course
Oh
we need
my
to break
God.
apart.
Oh!
Then we'll come in with that thick cream sauce.
Did you see that pasta was dry? The pasta was dry, was dead. The pasta was dead, it was way too much, and it was dead.
No, I mean, honestly, if you look at the pasta, first of all, he added too much to the whole, all right? It wasn't big enough for the amount that he added. Secondly, he let the pasta strain for a little too long and it looks like it started to clump together. Ideally, you want to take the pasta out of the water immediately and add it to the cheese.
Straight away.
Immediately.
And at this point, I'll take my forks and mix this all in together to make our beautiful pasta inside that wheel of Parmesan. I have to say, this is one of the most beautiful, coolest, most rustic things I have ever seen in the kitchen. And I have cooked a lot of things in my life. Just listen to that pasta sound.
Come on, Nick. Nick needs to get out a little more.
He needs to get out more, but he also needs to remember that all that cream, all that roux that he made, okay? Now it's gonna get stuck there. It's gonna get stuck in the cheese. You don't want that. That should be just pasta and cheese making love together, talking about love and sound. Even adding the parsley there. You don't want parsley not to get stuck on the cheese.
Is he adding parsley or is that... Those are chives.
Oh my God, you guys in the chives. Oh my God, what's going on with the universe?
Just for some color, I'm gonna finish this off with a few chives. Before I dive in, I'm just gonna add a little bit more Parmesan right on top of this, because you can never have too much Parmesan cheese.
I think he put cheese on top to cover how dry it was.
Well, it does look a little better with extra Parmigiano Reggiano on top grated, but it does look a little dry.
Now we can't eat anything with cheese before letting our furry little friend try it himself. So I'm gonna put pesto down, and don't worry, this is gonna be sanitary enough. I'm gonna scrape off this part of the cheese after.
Pesto.
I love animals. I love animals. You can do whatever you want, but there is a limit. Come on.
You don't like mice, rats, and hamsters?
But they are okay, but not on the Parmigiano cheese. Sorry, not on the Parmigiano wheel. A little bit of respect for the Parmigiano wheel and for all the people that made that cheese. You already ruined it with the pasta. Now here, let's give it to the mice.
The funny thing is here, I think he's just gonna eat the cheese and not actually go for the pasta. And that's okay, because there's too much garlic in the pasta. But this is probably one of the best days of Pesto's life. Pesto, say bye to everybody, okay? But now, I think it's time to dive in. Let's give this a try. That right there is some good pasta. So much about tasting and enjoying food comes from your smell. And sitting in front of a Parmesan wheel like this means you're smelling all of that cheese on the outside of the wheel. Seriously, this thing is cheesy. Just looking at this gorgeous half wheel is so special.
What do you think of all of this, James? Because you come from a different perspective. What do you think of what you did?
Overall, I think that the pasta's a little dry. It's not as creamy as it could be. But then again, you don't know how long it took to actually make this with the cameraman and everything. You don't know.
But do you think there is an audience that would love to eat the way it is?
You'd be surprised at how many people would say that this is wonderful. Because, I mean, it's not bad, I'm not saying that. It's just that a lot of the food that people normally eat is, there's no other nice way to put it, it's crap. They either don't know or they don't want to cook for themselves. So if they do, this would be a step up.
Now, before I finish, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. You are all the reason that I can get things like this and make videos like this. And there's lots more coming where that came from.
Well, that was a good video.
I guess, yeah, he's great, Nick. We love Nick. Do you? Do you like Nick?
Oh, no, I do. I like Nick. I mean, Nick, if you're saying this, and I'm not trying to be nasty or mean in any way, shape, or form. I like you. So if you want to do a collaboration, I would love to cook with you, man. Seriously, I really would. And I'm sure Vincenzo would as well. We could all cook something Italian.
But without pesto, no pesto involved.
Pesto the mouse, no? Hey guys, if you did enjoy this video, then let us know down below in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like button and share. But more importantly, go over to Vincenzo's channel after seeing this video and say hi to Vincenzo as well. And say hi to Nick for us, so he knows about this video. Share it with him. Until then, take care.
que suficiente.